Listen careful to God's voice in your heart.
Hello and welcome. I am Father Garrett Burns, and you're listening to About 4 O'Clock, a podcast on vocations and discernment. With me today in the studio are Father Chad.
Afternoon.
Father Drew.
Good afternoon indeed.
And our apostle, because he loves that, Bishop Kemme.
Hello, everybody. Good to be back with you here on the podcast.
This is something new for us today. We're doing a vodcast, a video podcast, so the world...
Podcast doesn't really roll off.
Does it? What should it be?
I don't know. Vlog does. I think vlog's cool, but that's not what we're doing.
It
is cool, Chad.
It is not cool. I've not felt this uncomfortable with a microphone in a long time.
I know. I was really intimidated by the podcast. Now I'm more intimidated by the podcast, that people are going to actually see us talking.
Just having fun, good-looking people.
Being very natural
This
here.
is how we
this
often
is how I do this.
I tried to set you guys at ease. I brought some things that we usually have in the studio. So we've got our Father Chad's diploma, or one of the fake ones. I don't know which is what.
I don't either.
Our chick over there, I don't know what that is.
Honestly, don't know the story on that. It's just always
That was
there.
a state fair prize the guys won that they thought we needed at the house.
Seminary has changed.
Probably spent $100 on a basketball game to win that dumb thing.
Yeah. So we're in a different place. We're in the Chancery, not usually here when
It's my personal library.
Yeah, this is my mini leather-bound books.
What room are we in? Like, where? What is this?
This is called the reading room in the Chancery. It's a conference room, but it's kind of where our library is. And I think I've only been in this room 3 times.
Do a lot of reading, but
No, that isn't what I was trying to say. It's just I have my own conference room, so I don't usually come down to this one, but it's a nice room. It's a lovely room.
I come in when I have a canon law question because my canon law is back at the house office. So if I'm at this office and I just go grab the canon law off the shelf.
And
Literally, that's what the internet is for.
No.
Yeah, I don't understand that.
Canon law is not meant to be done online. I mean, that is like 1,800 years it took to bail this, not so you could just Google something, you know?
We have a very good view of those who are walking in and out of the Chancery.
yeah.
So this is a room that you could, if you saw somebody coming you didn't want to see, you could escape out the back.
Well, that's the best part of Garrett and I's office is we have a straight line view of the front door, so you know when your appointment's showing up or not.
I like the idea of Bishop just up in his office and was like, I gotta get out of here. I gotta go.
It might happen a little bit more than you think.
Didn't there used to be like a back exit out of your office?
Yes, and then they made it a bathroom.
Okay.
I'm very grateful for the bathroom. But I do have a little bit of a back entrance that I come in and out of. So,
Well, this is called the reading room, but today it's the studio of Blessed James Alberione. He was an Italian priest in the 20th century, known as the Apostle of Media. So he's all about using new media for evangelization. And here we are.
Wow.
We're in the 20th century. What is the media? What media was he involved in?
He was a filmmaker.
Okay.
Oh, is that true?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, that's already more than I expected.
At least there was videos on YouTube of him like on one of those cameras that are like on a
that's
thing that's moving around and stuff.
I like that.
So,
Garrett's like at 11:30 at night. Garrett's just like on YouTube trying to figure out who the next saint is going to be with these absurd searches and
I would have come into the reading room and researched from actual books which saint would be. 'Cause not all of us resort to the internet for everything.
Okay, so we learned a new saint today.
Yeah. So
Alberione. Italian.
yeah, he's a blessed. He's a
Blessed.
blessed. So
Okay.
pray for his intercession. Maybe he'll become a saint.
Yeah.
Well,
How
since
would he feel about vlogs? Or
I think he's a fan
podcast?
of vodcast. Yeah,
Okay.
he mentioned that.
What is a vlog?
It's like a video, like a blog. Like a blog, you type out just your thoughts because people need to know your thoughts on the internet. And a vlog is like people also need to see me and get my thoughts.
So do they? You're not typing with the video, right?
No.
It's not just video.
Well, you might be. I don't know. There might be a segment of the internet that likes watching people type. I don't.
I'm sure.
Kind of a good idea, actually.
But since we are in the reading room, I figured we haven't talked about it in a while, and I know Bishop's a big reader, so I just wanted to ask what you guys are reading right now.
Let's see. I go through periods where I read a lot and then I don't read at all, and because my work obviously involves a lot of reading emails and letters and all kinds of stuff like that. Right now, I picked up, I haven't finished it, I'm about a third of the way in, of Jane Austen's Persuasion. Jane Austen is an English, you may all know this, but she was a famous English author. She only wrote, I think, 5 books, but they're all classics. And her Persuasion was her very last novel. And they said it's her most developed novel because she obviously progressed in her writing skills and style over her career. So I think I've read, there's Sense and Sensibility, there's Pride and Prejudice. Not sure what the others are, but Persuasion is one of her novels. And so I started it, and it's a typical Jane Austen novel, very set in a kind of a high, stiff brow English aristocracy kind of thing with, romance and tragedy and all this sort of stuff. So it's kind of an escape for me. I don't have a whole lot of that in my life. But I really do love Jane Austen, and so that's the book I'm reading now. So.
You have a little cup of tea usually when you're reading it?
Tea and crumpets.
Yeah, I feel very classy. What's it about? What's happening?
Well, it's usually about I knew you were going to put me on this spot.
No, I don't know.
The plot is still developing, so let me take a pass on that.
Yeah,
and
I'm sure there's people in love, and there's people who have been wounded.
That's right.
By besmirched, honor has been besmirched,
right. And so, it develops, and it's enjoyable. At least it's not going to change my life, but it's enjoyable.
Anytime I hear Jane Austen or the Bronte sisters, the only one I think I've read is Jane Eyre, which was really good, and I love Jane Eyre.
Novel, yeah.
But in my mind, every one of those books has the exact same plot of Jane Eyre. There's a tragic female figure that's injured but rises above the situation. And,
right. One of her more humorous novels is called Emma, Jane Austen's, and that's a more of a entertaining novel. It tells the story of this very this young lady who grew up with all kinds of privilege, and she fancied herself as a matchmaker, but it all backfired on her, and so she ended up causing a lot of trouble in other young women's lives because she matched them up wrongly, and so it all ends well, but it's just kind of intriguing how that all develops. So I don't know I'm sure English scholars of English literature would be able to tell you the whys and wherefores of all these things and what the hidden messages are. But over the years I've loved Dickens, the Bronte sisters, Wuthering Heights. Jane Eyre is a great novel, and Jane Austen. So that's kind of what I like to do in the rare times that I have free time to read.
Are you an end of the day reader? Like before I go to bed? Are you when you can catch it during the day?
No, it's usually Saturday morning or day off. Yeah. I do a lot of reading on my day off, and that's where I'll catch up. I have on my stand hoping to read Monsignor Shea's sequel to Christendom from Apostolic Mission.
We just finished it as a staff the other day.
I haven't yet got to that, but how did you like it?
Great. There's a couple of chapters that maybe aren't as enthralling as the first book, but the one we talked about mainly with chapter 6 was really moving for our staff and for our vision for evangelization. The whole point of the book is that it's not just that we don't have a religious society anymore. It's that when Catholicism or Christendom retreats or has been pushed to the side, something fills its place. And so there is a religion of the day. And they wouldn't call it a religion, but there is a worldview that people have to take. You can't just not have a worldview, and maybe they wouldn't acknowledge that. But, okay, we have to know what that is, and we have to give credence to it if we're ever going to be able to comprehend this. So my campus minister always talks about we have to know calculus so we can teach fractions. Is that you got to understand on a high level what the worldview religion is, so that a college kid I can speak into
because that religion is in our advertising. It's in
absolutely
we're surrounded by that. We're ingesting that every day just by being part of society.
And that's what I appreciated about it too. Is they said at the beginning of the book, I think, and like you have been affected by this.
Right.
You Catholic priest, even that you're in this culture, you're breathing the air too. And so, one, to identify that for yourself, and then to know how people that aren't thinking on this level are affected, so you can preach to that and evangelize effectively.
Oh, absolutely. I one time was talking about saint with my spiritual director, and I mentioned something like, well, you know, they're kind of a product of their time. He just looks at me, we're all a product of our time.
Amen.
And that's
Amen.
exactly what it is. And it's that self-reflection. What does it mean to be a product of my time? There are inescapable aspects of it. I mean,
What
even
are you guys reading?
I'm reading a biography on Constantine called Constantine the Great.
you just started that to sound smart on
I
this.
did. I looked at the library, my library. I'm like, no one's going to believe I read most of these books, but maybe they'll believe this one. No, I was reading another history book that I really love. I was rereading it, and it was talking about, like, Constantine was going to be killed by the emperor one night, and he escapes, and the emperor drank himself to sleep, basically. So he had a 12-hour head start or something like that. And Constantine had to ride from Turkey to England. And he had a 14-hour head start. So every place he would get, he would hamstring the horses that were at the post office, basically, and get a new horse and then hamstring the old horse. So there were no horses left because he was going to get killed in the middle of the night. And how different the world would be with Constantine maybe wasn't a great guy, but how different the world would be.
Right.
If Constantine isn't the emperor. It's been really...
Yeah, what was the first line of the book? Or
you may ask why... I said this the other night, yeah. You may ask why read or have interest of Constantine, and it is because every modern civilization, religion, and political organization has been impacted by him. So without overstating a little bit, but that was the point.
We're all products of Constantine at the end of the day.
Yes. Yeah.
And I like these history books that are pretty dramatic. Like, good history should be a good story, and I don't even mind if they're playing it up a little bit. That's the kind of like a midnight ride, but it's a historical
the truth
character.
is, most history is rather boring.
Rather boring. So you gotta spice it. You gotta spice it up, and so, and then we just finished Religion of the Day this week. What are you guys reading?
I'm reading the Similan right now.
Oh, yeah.
That's a bit of a slog, but everyone always talks about it. I committed myself at summer. I'm going to do it. There are parts of it that are great, parts of it that are beautiful. Tolkien has moments of genius, and then there's parts of it that are you just got to force yourself to keep going. I mentioned it at lunch the other day, and
we got a heated debate a little bit.
one of the seminaries, shout out Thomas Elliott, big fan of Tolkien, came to its defense. Now, Thomas has never actually read it, which he admitted, but he was comparing it to how the Bible was written. We needed to appreciate the Silmarillion because it was analogous to the biblical structure and how they're like, yeah, but that's the Bible. The Lord gets a few passages that I'm not giving J.R. Tolkien for plot.
Silmarillion is not the divine word.
Yes, that was my
That was pretty much Chad's argument, and they were like, well, yeah, you're right, I guess.
But yeah, his Mexican diner heated debate over the analogy between Silmarillion and the Bible. Come to seminary. Those are talks we have all the time.
That's not a great pitch.
But, and then I'm reading a book called Preparing for Spiritual Direction by Father Jean.
I can't.
Yeah, give it a shot. Yeah.
Father
What was
Jean
it?
Lepas. Father Xavier Naki recommended it a number of years back, so it's one of those that's been on the shelf for several years, and I finally pulled it off, and so I've only read like the first 50 pages of it, and it's written in the 1940s, and it's basically all about spiritual direction, overcoming being a product of your time in the 1940s. So he's speaking to what he sees the ills of priests of the 1940s, and so not super applicable, but really interesting, and then how spiritual direction helps those things. So it's all right so far.
If Father Xavier recommended it, it's probably going to be
there's got to be gold in there.
What are you reading, Gary?
Boys in the Boat.
Oh, yeah.
I saw the movie.
Yeah, I hadn't seen the movie, and it's about this rowing team in the 30s that they're in Washington right now. They're collegiate, and they're going to go and face Hitler's Germany in the Olympics in rowing. And mostly I was thinking of it going forward towards the year, and it's about kind of brotherhood and working together as a team and men. And now it's just motivation and some stories to tell the Sims to know, like, you guys are so soft. You guys.
Amen.
There's this guy, it's like Depression era, and his family, his mom died, and so he married somebody else, and so she didn't like him being around because it was like this image of the guy's ex-wife that he really loved. And so they were like, it's Depression era, they have this shack, and the whole rest of the family leaves, and the guy's dad just says, you have to stay here, we're leaving. And then it just said, and he was 11 years old. And this guy went on to be this rower, and he made his way through college. I'm just like, you guys, you have a luxurious life at the House of Formation.
When Netflix is down, it is really hard to get through the day.
Good point.
So, but I've loved it. Yeah, it's good teamwork and
That's cool.
Masculinity in it. So
That's a great.
Boys
Yeah,
in the boat. Boys in
Boys in the Boat.
the
Yep.
And there's a movie.
yeah.
Just came out.
Just came out, and the movie was good. It was a solid movie.
Yeah.
But I need to pick up an inspirational book to get ready for the school year. That's
Have
a
you
good
read
call.
Endurance?
I love Endurance.
All right.
Yeah.
That book rocks.
It's probably
What's that
due for a
one?
reread. Shackleton's Journey to Antarctica.
I'm gonna once a year
yeah.
reread. I'm gonna once a year reread.
It would be, it'd be worth it. Endurance is, that's top 10 for me.
It's awesome.
That's some dramatic history. Right?
Yeah.
I did our opening year staff retreat was based on endurance last year with my staff. I just read them passages of it. And tried.
We could substitute some of that into Office of Readings for the Sams.
Oh
like during
my
the middle of
gosh.
this, like you just need to read the chapter. Augustine's great, but really just put that down for a second and read a little bit of Shackleton,
That
and you'll feel
rocks.
better.
Endurance.
Yeah, it's worth it. That's a great one.
Well, we're glad to have Bishop with us. We're at really a beautiful crossroads, I think, at a moment in our diocese, and we've had Bishop here for 10 years now. Celebrated his 10-year anniversary recently.
Hey, 10 years, May 1st.
Yeah.
Real quick on that. What are the emotions of 10 years?
Just a whole ton of gratitude and looking forward to the next 10. It's kind of a halfway mark for me almost. Actually, I have 11 more years, but I'm not counting necessarily. But I know there's a year on the calendar that I'll have to submit my resignation, whether it'll be accepted or not. So when I turn 75, that's 11 more years from now. So, just looking back was, as when you reach significant anniversaries, and I remember when although 10 years as a priest is a little different than 10 years as a bishop, because you anticipate you're going to have at least 50 as a priest, You're never going to have that many as a bishop. So it's almost kind of identical, but, just to recall everything that has happened and that you've experienced over 10 years, realizing that it's all just been a gift, And I could have never foreseen any of this 30 years ago or 20 years ago even. And just, going back in your memory and thinking about your first pastoral visits and visits to schools and visits to seminaries and, ordaining 38 priests for the diocese and, starting the House of Formation and just all kinds of things that, thousands of confirmations and just all of that just really makes you makes me very humble and just really grateful for all of it and looking forward to what's next and all that's coming ahead of me that I have no idea what it is, but I'm very energized for the next chapter. So
That's great. Yeah, I'm sure. There's moments where for all of us that are like that, we have no idea what's coming. And I think one of those maybe for Bishop was back when he was in seminary. And since we are on video today, we talked to
this is not fair.
the Diocese of
Not
Springfield,
fair at all.
and we brought some pictures from Bishop when he was in seminary. So I think we're going to put these up on video, but we'll pass these around.
This
If you remember,
this is my high school graduation.
that is awesome. What was that suit made of?
It was very, very stylish back in the mid 70s, the late 70s. It was a plaid type of suit. It was a full suit, no vest.
Oh yeah.
But I was rocking it. I was walked out of a magazine.
Yeah.
And it was also during the time of the leisure suits.
Oh yeah.
You perhaps heard nightmares about that.
I've heard.
I refused to have a leisure suit because I was better than that. So I was able, with my mom and dad's help and financial support, to get a nice suit, matching suit, and so that's what I wore at my high school graduation. Of course, I had full head of hair.
Looks great.
Yeah. Great hair.
I know it was. I realized now that wasn't. I wasn't such a bad looking guy.
Yeah.
I didn't know it at the time, but. Man,
I got to find out what kind of product you were throwing in there. You were great.
We didn't have products.
You got to walk me through what's happening with these glasses.
Okay, so this would have been there again. Time, those were stylish in the early '80s. So that was when I was in theology at Kenrick Seminary, and big, thick, dark glasses were really big. really big.
They're kinda coming back.
Harry Carey glasses.
Harry
you know?
Carey, that's,
Carey,
who you are.
yeah.
That's exactly what it is.
Bing, boom, that's it. And those were big then. And if you wore a pair of glasses like that, nobody ever made fun of you.
Not then.
Never. Yeah.
Today, it's, I get it. Like, nobody would be caught dead wearing a pair of
Oh,
glasses
that's
like
funny.
But it's always cyclical, so you might want to get a pair now,
pair.
Drew, and
Yeah,
then
I
you'll be
could start that
ready for
trend.
when.
I could bring that
There
trend
is
back.
an optometrist that sells a pair of glasses.
Oh man, those are big.
Thick, black, or large glasses, fill up half your face. That
Yeah.
was a big deal. But it was Harry Carey was kind of the guy that
Yeah.
who made those pretty
Yeah.
stylish.
What you probably don't have any.
This
you
would
have
have
a guess of.
been 81 or 82 or 83, something like that. Yeah. So
So if you're just listening, definitely go to YouTube and check out the video so you
Yes.
can see these pictures. You want to just soak that in.
it's off. It's. You guys are lucky. I'm in a good mood today. That you don't have canonical penalties for bringing.
So funny.
I think we're lucky Garrett didn't bring our pictures. So I think there'd be plenty to
Right,
poke
right,
fun
right.
at
I
there,
kind of
too.
recall seeing a picture of you in your theology days, long hair.
I made a lot of bad choices in
Yeah.
style over the years, Bishop. That's why I need a uniform every day of my life.
Yeah, my hair in high school was so thick I could hardly get a comb through it. Very, very thick.
Yeah,
Luscious.
this is. I mean, it's molding itself. That's a sign of great hair.
Yes. I know you're jealous. Brother.
I am. Man, that's a dip. How do you get the dip in there?
It was wavy.
Like a wave. That's what I mean. Cascading.
I've never had anything like that in my life.
No. We know.
Ancient history.
Yeah. Well, as you're saying, Bishop, you're looking forward to the next 10 years, and a big thing that's going to guide that is a process we're in right now with our Diocesan Capital Campaign. And so just wanted to take the opportunity to talk to you a little bit about that. So maybe to start, could you just explain what that is and what's happening right now in the diocese?
So, we're, as many people already know, and if you don't, I'm happy to tell you, we are in the right at the sort of the third of a way through of a major capital campaign. It's not uncommon for dioceses or religious organizations such as ours or universities to do capital campaigns to ask for the generosity of our people to help us to do what I would say are extraordinary things for the mission. And so we, over quite a few years, my leadership team and I and our staff here at the Chancery, our development office, plan giving efforts have been talking about the possibility of doing this. And over a period of a good year or so, with a lot of consultation, we decided that it was worth doing. And in spite of the challenges of, we know there are many challenges to that these days in terms of our economy and so forth, but we really received a lot of support. Some advised us not to do it, or it wasn't the right time. Understandably, all those things go into the mix of trying to decide, is this a good and noble effort? And we took a lot of time developing our priorities. We tested several things. One of them was a new chancery, and that, we ended up not doing that because it didn't seem to be something that that the people or our priests would support, and that's fine. And so, what we did come up with is we started testing and asking people would they support these priorities, and it just became clearer to me that the majority of people would, and so we started and hired a consultant. We hired Steyer Group, and they're working with us now. And it's about this time next year, God willing, will be completed, and we will have reached our goal or exceeded it. Right now, we're just concluding our first parish wave. About 18 or 19 of our 90 parishes are in the first wave, and we're seeing great results. We're getting some significant gifts. We're getting more participation. That's the one thing I definitely wanted. It wasn't necessarily, the amount that people would be asked to give, although that's important. But I wanted more people to get involved and to be a part of this. So whatever the size of their gift, even if it's prayer or volunteering or something, to have some significant part to play in bringing about this, because our campaign is called One Family Fully Alive in Christ. So it's really to build unity in our diocese. Unity is so key in the church today and in our culture and our society, because in many ways we're not united. We are very divided. There's a lot of division, a lot of separation, and the church, I believe, it really needs to be a place where we are more united. Doesn't mean we're uniform or we all think or say the same things, but we are united because of our faith. And I want to build unity. That's kind of a passion of mine in the next years, is to help increase the unity of our people. And I think this is one way to be able to do that, to invite people to participate. So far, so good. We're seeing some great results, and we have a $50 million goal, which is large, very, very large. I had a number of sleepless nights thinking about this, and thought, well, what if this falls flat? What if we just completely bomb on this? And that, I don't know, I don't think that'll happen, but the response we're getting so far is very encouraging and very supportive. So
I think many people, maybe most, know the campaign goals, the specific, but just to hear from you,
Sure.
What are the particular goals for these resources, and why do they matter to you?
Yeah. So we have 5 priorities, and there are various things that we want to do to enhance the mission of the diocese. The first is to help support our teachers in our Catholic schools. So we're going to be developing, that's a $15 million goal. We're going to have parish-based endowments or school-based endowments if they're high schools, where pastors and administrators can tap these endowments to help increase the salaries of our teachers. We know our teachers are way behind in being paid. They deserve much, much more. The public schools have been able to increase the salaries of their teachers quite a bit over the last several years, and we've been lagging behind. And so as a result, in a time of a dearth of teachers, it's harder to fill our classrooms, our teacher slots. So we definitely want to pay our teachers more. They deserve more. They work very hard for us. And so that's our highest, that's the largest number of the campaign goals. So we have that. And then we have a brick and mortar project. It's the domes of our cathedrals. There's a large dome, and then there's several smaller domes around. And the copper on those domes is over 100 years old. It's the original, and we've got our money's worth out of that. They usually have a 100-year lifespan, and it's 110 years now. And so they need to all be replaced, and that's very expensive. Our estimated cost of that will be $12 million. But once that's done, the whole renovation and restoration of the cathedral will be complete. Yeah. In addition to that will be the stained glass windows, which, if you've been in our cathedral, are absolutely stunning. Those need to be removed and shored up, re-leaded, and then put back in so that they also will last, another 110 years. The third priority, something that I'm very excited about, is our new family and youth camp. I wish I had the name for it. I'm pondering the...
That would have been electric if we gave it big spike in numbers. You have to listen next week on About 4 o'clock. I'm not making you promise that.
It was debated among the priests just the other night after confessions out at
long discussion the other night.
Okay, well,
there's some good ideas and some terrible ideas.
Yeah. So we purchased a former Boy Scout camp south of Hutchison. Got a great price on it. And it's 150 acres. We're using it this summer for Camp Tuist, and it's going just great. I know you've been out there. I've been out there several times for Mass. We're serving more kids. The campers, I ask them whenever I've been out there for Mass, how do you like it? Oh, we love it. We love it. The lake, just the space, and the food's been great. It's been a really positive experience for our Tuist campers. And we want to develop, not only to purchase it, but to develop it ongoing so that our facilities out there will not only serve like Tuist campers, but other groups, parish groups, servers, youth ministry, retreats, all kinds of things that we've envisioned for this camp to access this camp for it. It's very exciting. In a diocese like ours, if we can't do it, I don't think anybody can. So I'm very excited about that.
You're going to have to raise the goal number for the camp by about, I don't know, $2,000. So because Drew broke one of the golf carts out there. So,
There's not any proof.
We need to up the ante there.
I was driving when it broke. A number of people have very rudely asked if I checked the weight limit of it, but yeah, there's some refurbishment,
some contingency plan should be in place.
Well, as people use it, that's going to be inevitable, huh?
Yeah, it's inevitable.
Yeah. Just after a week, it's inevitable.
It wasn't even my first night out there. I broke it. The camp, just a personal testimony, it is awesome.
Oh, it's
it
beautiful.
needs a lot of love. Garrett just finished a week out there, and I'm the week out there last, and Chad was earlier in the summer. So it needs a lot of there's a lot of work to be done, and it will all be really worth it.
Yeah. Thank you for saying that. We have a consultant that we're working with who specializes in this kind of development of camps, and he has told us it's really a great investment. He's seen a lot worse. But we want to build, new bunkhouses that are appropriate for adults as well as for youth. We want to build a chapel out there eventually. That won't come in the first part of the development, but it'll come in later. But just to have the kind of quality camp that I think all of us want and our diocese can utilize. So
yeah, the kids are roughing it a little bit this summer, which is fine. It's part of camp. It was funny today.
Almost
it was
better for them.
It's almost better for them, but they're packed like sardines and 32 guys in bunks. You have to walk sideways just to get through.
But it's air conditioned.
It is air conditioned. But just a week of being in the lake and running around, like there's smelly and sweaty and everything. I walked up today and one of the counselors goes, "Is someone like wearing cologne?" And I was like, they came up to me like, "It's you." I said, "No, I just put deodorant on." But like no one else. You're used to everyone smelling so bad. That I smell great just because it's the normal level.
I remember the first week I went out there was girls, these little girls, and I walked up and I was just like, okay, maybe I'll back it up a little bit because it was on a Friday.
But we were all out there Wednesday night, and it's just beautiful. It's a very beautiful place.
Gorgeous. Yeah, grounds are just amazing.
Yeah. Deer. Didn't you see some deer as you?
I almost hit a couple deer.
As you were
I almost
coming
brought
in.
one home.
You gave me a tour of it on your Bronco.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, we're like a safari on the Bronco. Doors and stuff off. And
it was like a safari.
That's how the golf cart broke. But we don't.
I would have taken you in a golf cart had it not been broken the day before I got there.
Okay. Well, so let me finish then the priorities. So the fourth is also very near and dear to my heart. I was a parish priest all those years before I became a bishop, and I loved it. I missed that ministry. It was the happiest and best job in the church, I think, is to be a parish priest. So I wanted all the parishes to benefit. So we have a 20% parish. We call it a share, so for every dollar that's given, pledged and given, 20 cents of it will stay in the parish for local needs. And then once they reach their goal, and we hope parishes will reach their goal, then it's a flip. 80 cents stays in the parish, and 20 cents comes to the diocesan priorities. So it's a great way for our parishes to envision projects that maybe they just would never have done. And I'm really grateful that our pastors have taken some time to consider what they'd like to do with that parish portion. And that will go to them immediately. There'll be no time lapse. Once that comes to us, it goes immediately out at different times of the year, but it won't be at the end of the campaign. It'll come out as pledges are being redeemed.
Have you heard any exciting examples of plans that have been put in progress?
St. Mark's out in Colwich, they're going to build an Adoration Chapel.
Yeah, awesome.
Beautiful.
I've seen the drawings.
It's going to fit right in with that whole space.
I know, and they've had adoration. I think if Father Brian Nelson, if I remember, they have it like in the basement in some room, But that has gone over very well. So Adoration Chapels, there's been, I think, St. Anthony's in Garden Plain, they're going to redo the whole front of their church. The steps are very steep, and so they're going to redo all of that to make it a little bit more accessible and appropriate and beautiful for the church. Most of the projects I think are more brick and mortar projects, which is fine. It's up to them. I technically had to approve all of them, but it wasn't difficult to approve these things. And people really like to see their money in action. And I do like projects that are maybe more mission-minded. And, some parishes are putting their portion into the teacher endowment, which is really, I think, pretty insightful and prudent and a good use of that. So it's just all kinds of things. Yeah. Then the very last piece, again, I give Brian Coulter, God rest his soul, all the credit for this. In the development of these priorities, he said we should tithe. If we're the stewardship diocese, we should tithe on this campaign. So we do a lot for the underprivileged in this diocese already, but we can always do more. So 10% of whatever is pledged and redeemed or fulfilled will go into a quasi endowment, more or less a quasi endowment, that we will be able to put out for supporting ministries that serve the poor, food pantries, you name it. I do hope that we might be able to use a portion of that every year to support ministries that care for those who struggle with mental illness. I think as parish priests, pastors, I hear all the time, and I certainly know it myself, a lot of our people are really struggling with challenges in terms of mental health. And, we have a very Catholic way of seeing that, and I think it's a blessing that we could have maybe more services provided from a Catholic anthropology to understand, how people are made in the image and likeness of God and inherent dignity, et cetera, but to support their services that increase or improve their mental health.
That's what my parish share is going to. We've got a Catholic counselor, mental health professional, that's going to be coming to St. Paul, starting just every other Monday. Yeah. But to provide students for a super Catholic and super professional person. And so those are kind of those things combined has helped out a lot.
I was talking to, part of my responsibility, among other things, was to meet with major donors. And that's one of the things we've been highlighting in our conversations, and that's gotten a lot of good feedback.
And it's one of those places I've felt over my head before as a priest of I'm not trained to do all of those things, and I don't always know who to trust. I can look up, I can Google psychologists, but what are they going to be getting? And so just investing in that, people we know are going to really treat from a Catholic anthropology and integrate body, mind, and soul. So that's great. That's
right. Okay, so what's the process of discerning this? And so from, this is a vocations podcast, so there's discernment that's taking place. There's good and bad, there's pros and cons. How does a leader, how does a bishop, how does a priest or a father figure or anything like that go about this discernment process?
That's a great question. And I take a little bit of pride in the fact that I didn't make this decision unilaterally or without a lot of consultation. So obviously we had meetings with the priests. Our pastors, priests are key collaborators in this. I can't do it without the priests. So we wanted to really bring them into the conversation to help, develop this, to discern properly whether we should do it or not, and if we should and can and do, what should be our priorities. So that was a big piece. But I also hosted listening sessions, consultations at my home with people that I have come to know over the 10 years, and our development office has come to know as really key supporters of the diocese, whose voice and we really respect, and who have been with us through thick and thin, and who have a right to offer their advice. And so we had several of those and received a lot of feedback. Some of it was like, Bishop, this is the wrong time. We think these are good things, but boy, it's just, the economy and people's jobs, and, you should always, you can choose a better time, and there will come a better time. And I certainly I didn't ever doubt that. But so you weigh all of this, and with a lot of prayer. I remember I spent many holy hours, and I don't say that, to be over dramatic but I remember in the quiet of my own prayer life, laying this at the feet of Jesus, because this isn't my effort. This isn't for me or even for my legacy. I don't care anything about that. But this is so our mission can just be even deeper or more inflamed with dynamism, And that's why I think this campaign can do. It can kind of light fires, good fires to get people involved and help not only on a diocesan level but on the parish level. So, and I think that's happening. I want to believe that that's happening, more and more to come. But so we come to a moment of decision. A leader has to make the final call. And when you're a pastor or a bishop or a leader of any organization, it all kind of ends with you. And so we got to a moment, and it's like, okay, it's either go or not go. And I just found myself convinced that we should do it. And so that gets announced, and then, you bring all kinds of people surrounding you and supporting that decision, and we really have that going on. So our campaign leadership and our own consultants have been just really, really great to work with, and the leadership that we've chosen to help us communicate this and have been really on board with it and supportive, and without a whole lot of arguing or any hesitation, just, yeah, we can do this. Let's do it. I think, I'm learning this, I think we can do much, much more than we think we can. There is so much potential in the Catholic community. And not that I want to act imprudently or rashly, but yeah, we can do a lot. And if we all come together, we can do a lot more than we can on our own. And I hope this campaign will impress that upon our pastors as well as our lay faithful. There's so much more to come.
I was at a fundraising conference once where they said, always be planning your next capital campaign, which, like, we know sounds arrogant, like you're just trying to keep getting money. But their point, and I've really taken this to heart, is always be considering what your vision and goals are for the future, that if you did raise money, this is where you think it should go. Did you find that helpful to be able to communicate with the diocese, not only to get these things done, but where you want the diocese to move?
Absolutely. And even now in the midst of this, I don't want to scare anybody, but already new ideas are starting to come. But like I said, I hope God gives me 11 years, and I don't want to sit, after this is done, I don't want to just sit around and do nothing. Yeah. There's so much more to do and so much more to let happen. And I just want to kind of end on a high note and look back and to say, look what we all did together. Yeah. Look what we all did together. So, like, one of our values is apostolic courage. So coming up out of the book from Christendom to Apostolic Mission, to go forth boldly with the Holy Spirit. That's not easy for me. I kind of a little more hesitant by nature, but I think we religious leaders need to be much bolder, not reckless, but bold. And there's a big difference. And I just hope that this will help our priests and pastors and with me, and to just see the possibilities and to just boldly strike out for it. What's the worst that can happen? We can fail. But what's the greatest that can? We can succeed. And then things change. I mean, when we get these things in place, and I have every confidence we will, just think of what a huge difference it's going to make on any given day in this diocese. So,
yeah, for me is just hearing it. It's kind of a maybe a hot topic right now in the church, but synodality, just even that word. But to me, it sounds like a good form of there was listening, but then listening has to lead to somebody making the call, and we all get behind that. And you need to trust. The leader trusts what he hears, and the people that speak what they have to say have to trust that you maybe know something I don't know and are going to make a decision.
And what I didn't say, and I'm glad you brought it up, Father Garrett, is we did a survey. We did over 2,000 responses came back. We surveyed everybody in the diocese. Everybody had an opportunity, either online or by a written survey. And we went through those meticulously, and to see people's responses to the questions that we were asking. And there was a lot of feedback from those that really helped in the formation of the decision. So
Yeah, I think it takes a lot of, as you were just saying, Bishop, courage to jump into that. I think, for some people have a more natural gift towards it, I think, and some of us don't. I know for myself, that was always one of the harder things. I saw the value and the importance and the good of it, but in the parish, that was always a hard thing to bring myself to, and it called for a courage from me, because that's not the area I'm most comfortable in, is talking with people about the finances and planning those things. And to do that on such a large scale is impressive to me. It's also intimidating to me, just frankly, to think about in that role. So I'm grateful for you and your team's courage in that.
Yeah, I have to say, I was there with you, Father Chad, when I was a new pastor. The last thing I would ever talked about with people is the tithing or making bold gifts or generous gifts to the parish. It wasn't, there was no comfort there at all. And I can't say I'm totally comfortable with it now, but what I've learned, my experience is that, yes, that once in a while you'll have a person that will, flat out turn you down or even be, somewhat rude about it. But the vast majority don't. And even if they may not necessarily give you what you ask, they will give you something, and they're grateful to be asked.
Yeah.
And that's what I've learned. Our people are so good, and they just want to help.
Amen.
And I've asked for some big gifts, and nobody's thrown me out of the room. Yeah. So
Yeah.
after this podcast, there might be.
It'd be great numbers, though. Yeah, it would have been a lot easier to do nothing. It would have been a lot easier to do nothing.
Just let things sail.
Yeah. And
I can say this now. I've been here 10 years. I could have, because of the many blessings we have in the diocese with seminarians and all these other things, it would be an easy diocese for a bishop to coast.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because it just kind of works, You just show up and it works. I've felt really convicted by the Holy Spirit. I don't want to be that kind of bishop. I want to kind of move. And because it's changing me, it's really made a difference in who I am. So that those men on that paper don't even exist anymore. Yeah. Literally.
Nor their sense of style. That doesn't exist anymore either.
That's right. I hope it comes across to people, because I can kind of feel it. Like you're getting excited. The way you're talking about it, it's fun to hear your bishop excited about something, whatever it is. It's fun to see that.
When I brush my teeth in the morning and at nighttime, it's like, what are you doing? Well, you just do it. You just do it. I feel really apostolic. That doesn't come just by being ordained a bishop. It comes from your lived experience.
Yeah, I believe that.
So,
well, thank you very much, Bishop, for being our apostle with apostolic courage, and for just talking with us today. And
pray for me, please.
Absolutely, every day. And thank you all for listening and watching about 4 o'clock today. If you have questions you'd like us to address, you can email us at wichitavocations@gmail.com. You can also visit us at our website at about4.org. And today, Bishop gets the final word.
Oh, I forgot. Go forth boldly in the power of the Holy Spirit. Amen.
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 Until next time, be not afraid.
Give you the idea that we should have a podcast?
And you were hanging around in the background and said, I want to be a part of that.
This is a pretty special episode for us.
That was a genuine woot from me.
That's neat.
So this is an episode dedicated to all of you.
I'm also impressed with your knowledge of things.
And I felt really good about this until you just off the cuff threw out AFO.
That's pretty good.
I've been to the dentist and confession within the last week.
That's what I think is probably happening.